Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. 2018 is just about done. Things are winding down. Christmas is behind us, and I want to take a few minutes just to kind of take a look back on 2018. Got a lot of stuff done this year. A lot of projects completed that I've been looking at doing for a long time, and it was a busy year. When we started 2018, I was still doing all the tedious line boring and face milling on the heavily repaired portion of the rear case on X231. After that was done, I rolled right into thoroughly cleaning that rear end housing inside and out. And then got the whole interior resealed again. We'll take a little bit of a trip back in time so we can remember what it looked like before. And now back to the present. See what I did there? Just wanted to do a bit of a before and after shot. Definitely looks a lot nicer in there now than it used to. All clean, freshly coated. Then right about that time, spring rolled around, and around here when the snow melts, I get really busy doing other things outside. First order business was to resurrect my RD6 from its approximately 2-year slumber. It had a failed bearing on the starting pinion drive, so I got my 5U D2 out and we towed the RD6 from its former resting place up to a much better spot to work on it. I then removed the starting engine and completely rebuilt the entire starting pinion drive unit. Got everything bolted back onto the diesel engine. And then fired it up and took it for a spin. And that brought us to the mid to late summer tractor show season. I got the Minneapolis Moline prototype crawler number X253 out, hauled that down to Nowthen, Minnesota for the 2018 Minneapolis Moline feature. Kind of a funny story with that. We're getting ready to leave the yard, and my dad tows the camper and I tow the equipment. That's how we usually go to shows. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have to stop in town though, which is literally a mile away from here. And he's like, you mean you want to stop that soon to recheck chains, or what's going on? I'm like, no, I'm gonna have to move my camera because you know, it's a lot of work, you know, making the videos, and it takes a lot of forethought for putting the camera in different spots and seeing if you can get good shots and doing this and that. So yeah, I had the camera on the back of the trailer, and I only needed a little bit of a shot of leaving the driveway, and then town's only a mile up the road, and that's the next best spot to pull off. So sure enough, he's pulling off in town right ahead of me, and I pull off too to go back and get the camera and go and throw it on a different spot on the trailer. But he's a pretty good sport about that. He's getting better with it all the time, and a lot of times if I need to have a cameraman, he's the guy that takes over and gets behind the camera. So that's fun. I do appreciate that. So anyway, back to the show. it was a pretty good trip down, and I'm really glad I did it. It was kind of some work videoing everything, but I got a really neat shot of the Moline coming off the trailer, offloading it at the show. It's another one of those things that I'm really glad I took the time to do, because in hindsight, it's one of the favorite clips I had of 2018 on the channel here. I also tried to get some video footage of some of the goings-on around the show. It's kind of hard to remain inconspicuous in large groups of people when you're the guy walking around holding your camera at arm's length and talking to it. About half the people, though, don't really seem to notice. The other half kind of look at you like you've got a horn growing out of your head. All right, guys, it's Saturday, parade day. This is a busy time of the show. Things are starting to pick up, just about parade time, so I'm going to get the crawler going. We'll run through today. So after we got back from Now Then, we ended up going to the Le Sueur, Minnesota show the following weekend. They had the 2018 HCEA National Show there. That's Historical Construction Equipment Association. A lot of very interesting machines showed up there. I did a lot of walk-arounds of stuff, got a ton of footage. Two tractors in particular stand out to me from that show. One is a late 30s Allis-Chalmers L crawler that is a very original survivor, has a really nice weathered wood cab on it. I did a pretty good walk around of that one. If you haven't seen it, scroll down. It's in my video list down there, Allis-Chalmers L crawler. And let me tell you guys, it was 800 cubic inches of gasoline burning, 6-cylinder straight stacked awesomeness. I mean, she sounded good. And the other tractor that I really remember from Le Sueur is my buddy John's 1929, I believe. It's a late 20s Caterpillar 30 side seat tractor. This thing was really awesome. It's another really nice original condition survivor. He did a lot of work on this thing in a short amount of time. I mean, just a few weeks prior to the show, it had a seized engine. The bottom end was hammered out of it. The manifolds were full of holes. And almost overnight, he got that thing freed up, tuned up, and running really, really well. And matter of fact, he come up to me one afternoon there, and he's like, "Tell you what, if you can start that thing, you can drive it." So it's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to drive a 30, and it's like a side seat 30. And at this point, I'd never driven a Cat 30 before and never even seen an actual side seat 30. And now I get an opportunity to drive it. And I'll tell you what, guys, I was just shocked. I was wrecked. So I go over there and grab a hold of the hand crank, and it's like, at this point, my brain's not even working. I'm so excited. And I got it engaged way too low, and it's like, I asked John, it's like, well, you start down here, do you pull it up over? How do you usually do that? And he's like, no. He's like, here, take it out. He gets it engaged so the crank's pretty much up and down. I mean, he knows right where to set this thing so it's going to start. Where do you usually, you go up over center with it? Nope, I don't know like that. Just bring it.
You're doing it on
here. Just swing it over. Swing it over. Just and you know, at this point, I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm getting ready to pull this thing over, and he's like, we got to prime it up first, and you know, get the decompression cocks open and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm too excited. I'm just ready to crank this thing. It's like, I'm gonna drive a side seat 30. You know, I can hear Diesel back behind me going, "You're doing it wrong, Toby." And
you're doing it on Toby.
It's like I'm getting lectured by a 10-year-old, and you know, he was right.
Just one little click, but we gotta prime it first and all that other good stuff.
All right.
Your decompression's off.
Plenty of gas in there. So we get it all primed up and ready to go, and John's like, it starts pretty easy. It's a 1 to 2 crank runner. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm figuring 2 cranks, because they usually never go on the first one. But so we get it all primed up, it's all ready to go, and I roll that thing through 1 compression stroke, and as soon as the mag clicks, it's running. I just can't believe it.
Enjoy.
So at this point, I just let go of the hand crank. I let the thing flop down, not even thinking that, hey, dummy, you better hang that back up, because if you run it into something, you're going to break it, So I walk around the 30 there, and John's on the other side, and I'm like, literally, that was 1 crank. And he's like, yeah, it won, happens all the time. So I'm climbing up on this thing. I'm like, all right, I'm off to the races now. I'm going to drive the side C30. Luckily, John noticed the hand crank was down. He gets back around, hangs it back up. I'm climbing aboard, oblivious that any of this is going on. And after I watch it back, then I'm finally realizing that, oh crap, I didn't hang the hand crank up. I was a mess. I wasn't thinking. I was too excited. John's never going to let me touch any of his tractors ever again. Really, after I got that thing out and started driving it, it drove just as nice as it ran. I did a little bit of a loop around the dirt digging area there, and really made my show. And honestly, that was like bucket list stuff. They're pretty much my favorite tractor in 2018. And John, if you're watching this, thanks again. Really appreciate that start up and drive. Really, really a fun time. So to get things back on track again, that brings us to about Labor Day weekend. I did some field plowing with the H and 2 bottom Little Genius plow, and then the Super M and a 3 bottom Little Genius plow that I had in the field for the first time. And that 3 bottom worked really, really well. I was surprised at how well it actually did. And probably one of my other next favorite shots of 2018 was I put the GoPro out alongside of that 3 bottom plow as I was going through the field. And it was really awesome to see those 3 ribbons of sod just rolling off of those bottoms. We also resurrected the old Allis-Chalmers M crawler after it sat for probably, 10 years. And then, as many of you are probably well familiar with, we located and retrieved the 1938 Cat D2 number 5J1113. We got it home, we pulled it around with the RD6 a little bit to limber it up. Another thing I'm doing here is just lightly dragging this brake, trying to build some heat in that drum. And then then I started tearing it down, assessing condition, and going after more parts. And there we go. Trying to find a suitable engine block to replace the frozen and cracked one that old 1113 had on it, which so far has not been an easy task. The rear main is the real kicker. You pull this shell out right here, and you have Blatt's Light Beer. And now I just finished pulling the engine out of the first D2 that I ever owned, 5J2115 SP. Hopefully that's going to lend me a good block to use an old 1113.
Tiny bit of a lift. Okay, back off. Keep going, we're good. Clear.
And finally, to round things out for 2018, I did get to throwing some of the drivetrain components back in X231 and cleared a very, very large hurdle by verifying that the production 445 ring and pinion gear set will fit and will function in X231's prototype cases. And guys, honestly, if that wouldn't have worked out, I don't know that I'd have been back to X231 anytime in the foreseeable future, because like I said in the video when I set that up, I really didn't have a plan B, so I'm very, very happy that that came together the way it did. So it was a very busy 2018, and honestly guys, I'm hoping 2019 is more of the same. I like keeping busy, and guys, I really, really thank everybody for the viewership, for the subscribers. When I started 2018, I was at 3,000-ish, and as of right now, it's like 11,982, so it's possible that by the time I upload this, we might have crossed the 12,000 mark. I don't know. It's way better than I ever thought I'd ever do. I know this channel's still tiny when it comes to YouTube, but honestly guys, I never thought it'd be as big as it is now, and I really got to thank you all for that. I've got some previously unseen footage that I'm going to be airing in 2019. I didn't do anything of the disking out on my field after I turned all that ground over in the plowing videos. I did take the H over it a couple times, kind of flatten it out a little bit before it sat for the winter. You'll be seeing some of that in, well, it's Minnesota and it's only January, so probably 5 months before I actually get back out into the field and be able to do anything. But also got this going on. I don't know, what is it? It looks big, heavy, lots of stuff going on there. You guys will find out plenty soon enough about this too. So that pretty much rounds out 2018, guys. As always, I thank you for watching. I got a couple of walk-arounds from the LeSueur show yet. I might be uploading in the next couple of days. Kind of a nice old military D7. I didn't use that footage until now because the wind kind of interfered with the camera, but I'll throw that up and get it off the desktop. And I got another nice little Cat 10 walk-around for you too, and probably do one more equipment operating highlight reel for you from 2018. You listen to me talk way too much, so let's listen to some engines for a change. As always, guys, all the best in the new year. I hope 2019 is great for everybody. Again, thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see you back again.